You are listening to Committed, an ongoing conversation about marriage, intimacy, relationships, and sex. I'm a marriage and relationship coach dedicated to helping couples and individuals like you build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. I have a deep understanding of communication dynamics, conflict resolution, and intimacy. I guide clients through challenges with compassion and expertise. Hi, another day, another pod, another location. I'm at the opposite wall in my office, and now I'm sitting on the couch because it's comfy. I think this is good. So today I wanted to talk about what is the purpose of doing couples therapy or couples coaching? And I was just on TikTok a while ago. I sent this video to Michael of yet another person that is a self-proclaimed coach, which is one of the reasons why I am back in school. Because while I am not a self-proclaimed coach, I have 3 years of post-grad training and experience. And I'm also in another master's program right now. There are so many people out there that just absolutely blow up online because I don't even know. I don't even know how it happened. They must have posted a video of themselves showing their butt or singing or something like that. So I don't really know. But I am grateful that I have all of this going on and that I'm working on it and that I'm figuring it out and that I'm doing it day by day. And so hopefully one day we can look back on this video and laugh because I have a whole podcast recording studio. But here I am right now. So I wanted to talk to you about what is the purpose, why even go? Because what I do find is the reality of couples is that they persist. Our personality traits persist. They are what they are. We change, we can make small little changes over time. But over the course of years, we're not like a different person. And our relationship doesn't function completely differently, is what I see on average with my clients. They're still the same people that they started out as. They might relate to each other a little bit differently because they learn tools and skills in order to work together harmoniously more so in their relationships. But it's not this amazing transformation that happens. And I'm curious to see, do people expect that when they come in to work with me or work with other professionals? Because let me tell you, it's not that people are working with me for the first time. It's that they're coming in and they've seen another therapist, someone that they just really didn't like, for example. That happens all the time. They felt like the therapist was on one person's side versus the other person's side. Or they just felt like the person didn't get them or didn't get the relationship, or they just had a bad experience where somebody was unethical. I've definitely heard of that happening. Or they did it and they're like, yeah, we liked it, but now we're back because changes really weren't made. And so it can be a really hard thing. Do we even go? Should we not go? And so I made a short list of what you can expect to get out of your experience together. And as I went through this list after I wrote it, I said, these are very valid reasons to go see someone. Because part of me was maybe a lot of people don't come because they're like, well, nothing's really going to happen anyways. And I think the reality is that a lot of relationship is about accepting, learning to accept. And I think it comes with time. And I think if you don't completely fuck your relationship up before you can allow that time to pass, then you can be good to go. Because reality for me is what you're getting to is the acceptance of what is and finding your own happiness. I definitely see people have a lot of problems when they are constantly and consistently depending on their partner for too much. That's where my codependency training comes in. I'm really passionate about codependency because it's such a fine line that we all teeter on, essentially. And some of us are farther over on one side of that line, and some of us are over on the other side, where it's I'm so independent or I'm so codependent. I'm trying to control my partner to be a certain way, and I'm trying to control my relationship to function this way, or I don't give a crap. And then my partner's like, you just don't care about me at all. And so finding the middle ground in that is something that I'm very passionate about with couples. Like, what makes sense to really care about and want to have some aspect of control over, and what doesn't. And I've heard people say, well, you're not supposed to want to really control anything in your relationships. And I just don't think that that's realistic, because we all want to feel like we have control of our life. And some of that does bleed over into having certain needs that are met in your relationship, standards that you set for your relationship, and boundaries that you have to ensure your safety, your happiness, your freedom, your togetherness, the love that you feel, the intimacy that you experience together. It's never just about one person. It's finding that balance of each person feeling like they have a say and they have autonomy to make decisions for themselves while also being a part of the partnership. Okay. And so I think those are some preliminary reasons to really think about having a healthier relationship to begin with, because I think there's just not enough people who participate in couples counseling, couples therapy, coaching. There needs to be more. Clearly, relationships aren't surviving over half of the time, right? We know our statistics are like they're above the 50% mark now. They might even be crawling into the 60s. That's really sad. We're accepting divorce more often. Hey, there are certain times and certain reasons why divorce might be the viable option. Some of the more extreme ones, like I'm in an abusive relationship. All right, well, yeah, you want to get out of that, right? Nobody's working on anything. We're leaving. Not that people don't work on it, but if you're in a situation where that person's not willing to look at their own behavior and this is just how it is, we need to get out. There are even some times where a partner is just not willing to engage in the relationship, the health of the relationship, working to make your relationship healthier at all. Well, yeah, that might be a case where over time, I still say give it time. Like, I'm a huge advocate for, if you married someone, like if you're just dating someone, you've been with them for like a year, 2 years, like, okay, whatever. Like, if people end relationships, it totally makes sense. But if you are someone who is married, if you're someone who has kids, I say, like, give it a fair chance. But then there's the whole concept of like, what does a fair chance constitute as? So my opinion is that everyone should go to counseling. If you've gotten married and your relationship's not working for you, and one or both people is not happy, and one or both people is considering getting divorced, I think that you should go to counseling, because you want to make sure that you're making a decision from a steady place. Because what counseling could do for you is it might say, all right, listen, one person in this dynamic at least needs some individual therapy. Like, it might be a place to say, oh, this isn't like a relationship thing, this is an individual thing. Like, I heard from somebody today that they're just not happy in their relationship. Their partner is depressed and they're on and off in this depression. So, like, is that a function of the relationship? And it could be. Maybe one partner's making the other partner depressed. But is this really a function of the relationship, or is this a function of like the individual aspects that are happening for one or the other person? And that's what we want to ask. That's what we want to question. Yeah, I think that relationships need to be given a fair shot if it's a long-term relationship, if you've been in the relationship for a long time, if you have children together, if you've made vows to each other. Otherwise, don't get married. Like, you don't have to get married. No one's forcing you to get married. This is an arranged marriage. We're in America. Hopefully you're not in an arranged marriage. Okay? So we want to be thoughtful about what we're doing. And then if you're in it, does your relationship worth it to actually do the work on it? So what can this work give you? So let's kind of get into my little tiny notebook thoughts here. It's nice to bounce ideas off of me. I love when people come to me and they're like, here's my list. These are the things that I want to talk about. These are things that I've been thinking about throughout this week. These are the things that I got really pissed off at my partner about this week. I have an idea. I want to see if this works. What do you think about this? I absolutely love when people come to me with that because it shows me that they're taking initiative. They're not just coming to me, plopping their butt down and saying, I have no idea what to do. And like, I have no thoughts. I have no opinions. I'm just here. I'm just sitting here. Hopefully you can provide something to me. I can't. I can't provide anything to you. You have to come with something of substance. Like, I can ask you questions. There will be a point where I'm done asking questions because I need you to talk. I need you to provide something back to me. I need you to give me your opinion on something that I've said. I need you to answer a question that I've asked. I need you to ask me a question. It can be helpful. Why come to couples counseling? Why come to couples coaching? Well, bounce ideas. Your relationship at the end of the day may not completely change, but you might have some more ideas of what you could do to move the needle forward a little bit. Then it's on you to employ those, right? It's always going to be your responsibility to actually carry out and execute what we've talked about, but you have them. You have something of substance. So if you're really utilizing our sessions, that's something you're getting. Our sessions or whoever you're working with. To get ideas. I have a problem. I don't know how to work through. Like, my wife always wants to have sex and I don't have a high libido. What do we do? Right? Like, I have some thoughts about where we can start with this. I have so many questions if you say that to me. Where did we come from? Like, what was your libido like at the beginning of your relationship? What was your libido like when you were younger, when you were dating other people? How did we get to this point that we're at right now? And then we can start to kind of backtrack. Okay, well, maybe it's because your relationship has been rocky for a certain period of time, or your wife is criticizing you so much, and that kind of turns your libido down because you don't feel as attracted. There's lots of ways that we can go with different ideas that you might have, or questions that you might have, that I can provide ideas. Okay, well, what if you felt a little bit more in control of certain things? Well, then maybe your libido would be a little bit higher. Maybe your libido is lower because you don't feel like you have any control over your life. And maybe we need to start working on the people-pleasing aspects of you. Because when we people-please, we often aren't as turned on about life, right? Because we're catering to other people and we're not really truly listening to ourselves and communicating that out into the world. So, like, that's a preliminary random example, random thought. But to get ideas, okay? Try something different with support. Try something new with support, okay? So you guys yell at each other all the time. And that's how you do your conflict. And so I say, hey, this is not like a new idea. This is not like you're completely blind to this. You know you need to stop yelling, right? You're not coming to see me because you wonder if, like, you think yelling's okay and then it's gonna work. But that I'm gonna come up with some outlandish idea for you here. No. Like, we all know what we have to do. Like, when we snap at our partners, we know that, like, the communication would have worked better if we didn't snap at each other, if we didn't criticize each other, if we didn't ignore each other. We know that if we were just a little bit more open and creative about how to get turned on in the bedroom, that we wouldn't have had a fight about it. And that our partner may have been able to understand us a little more if we do it in a different way. Like, a lot of us know that. I'm not going to say every single person because obviously that's not true. But we know, like, oh, these are the I need to break up with this person. Like, this relationship needs to end. We know that. We get it. But why do people come to see me? Oh, support, accountability. Okay, so, like, I want you to try this. And then next week I want you to come back and I want you to talk to me about how that went. So it's like, I'm going to support you. Okay, I understand why it might have been hard to do that thing last week that we talked about you practicing. I need you to do it anyways. Like, sometimes I'm the little birdie on somebody's shoulder. They know what they need to do, but it's hard to employ that. So it's that accountability piece. It's that I'm going to be able to explain to you how I understand why it was hard to do that thing or not do that other thing. And then we're going to start to make a plan of attack so that you can be better at doing that thing or not doing that thing. Okay, so that's part of what this is for as well. Safety. Some couples come to me because they feel unsafe to have certain conversations in their relationship or their marriage. And when I say safety, I don't mean that you're always worried that your partner's going to sock you one in the face. Like, that's not typically what it means when I say safety. It means like emotional safety. Some people don't feel emotionally safe to have conversations together with their partner alone because there's no one managing their partner's behavior. It's not always the easiest thing to have boundaries. If every time I try to talk to my partner about something that's difficult for me or emotional for me, and they yell at me or they talk down to me, but I don't have the strength, I don't feel safe to do that because I don't have the wherewithal to say, you're yelling at me, so I'm going to walk away. We're not going to have this conversation. Maybe I feel too vulnerable. Or maybe I'm worried that I'm going to start yelling back. And so when people come to see me, something that they get out of it is like, I'm managing like the different behaviors that are coming up. Like, oh, wait, no, let her finish what she was saying. Or I think that what you just said to him, like I think that he took that wrong. So let's kind of break that down and let's talk about what you actually meant by what you said. And so because of the nature and the dynamic of having 3 people and having me be a mediator, well, we're able to kind of look at things in a different lens. And again, it's not always like surprise. It's not always like an aha moment. It's not always like this huge thing. It's more that, okay, yeah, nope, I get it. But it's like that stopgap between you and the bad behavior, or your partner and the bad behavior, or the two of you and the behaviors that you're exhibiting towards each other. Okay. Here's another piece. People might be more prone to make changes because they're paying. So if I'm spending the money on this, then I'm going to make the darn changes. Like, I'm going to do the thing because I have to come here every week, or because I chose to come here every week and pay you to help me. So even though you might not be telling me anything new or something that I don't know, I'm paying you to do this, and so I need to make the changes. And here's the thing. You might be sitting there saying, well, I shouldn't have to pay someone then. I should just make the changes. You're not. You're not, though. You're still in your spot in your marriage or relationship. Again, not an aha moment, like an yeah, right, I know what I need to do. I haven't been able to do it. Now I'm paying the price. Now I'm taking time away from my friends, my work, my personal time, my kids. I better fucking do the thing. Like, I better figure it out and do it. And then last, why are people coming to see me? We're working on acceptance over time. I think I mentioned it in the beginning. Acceptance is the single most difficult element of our relationships and our marriages. Why? Because we have to cohabitate. We have to work with this person. I can't tell you the number of couples who tell me that they don't function as a team. They don't feel that teamwork, the team player. Or we are team players, but we don't know how to have healthy intimacy with one another. We don't have a great sex life. Well, that's also teamwork. If we can accept our partners for who they are, then we can adjust how we show up in order to make sure that we have autonomy in our lives, that we are caring for ourselves, and that we're maintaining our own sense of self. But the thing is that we're reflecting back onto our partners. When we can't accept our partners, it's really that we can't accept ourselves. Because if we're comfortable in our own bodies and we're comfortable with who we are, then our partners can be who they are. It really doesn't matter like exactly who they are unless they're infringing on, and this is where it gets complicated, because I'm going to say unless they're infringing on our safety or our well-being in some way. But that's the thing, we perceive. Well, if you don't like, why is this a problem for you? I'm going to give you an example. Like last night specifically, funny, it just came up. We carved pumpkins the other day. We got the candles for the pumpkins. My mother-in-law gave us the candles. My husband wants to light the candles and put them out on the deck. And I want that. Not when we're going to sleep, though. So I had a problem with that. And we had an exchange over it. And ultimately, I blew out the candles because I'm not willing to risk our house getting burnt down, even though it's a very small chance that that's actually going to happen. But like, I'm not willing to risk my safety, my kid's safety, his safety, my house. I don't want that. I just don't even want to deal with that as a thing, right? So there's my perceived safety. Is it enough to like disrupt, ruffle feathers? Because there were feathers that were ruffled, trust me. And so moving towards acceptance in all of the possible ways that we can do that, it makes us healthier and more secure in our relationships. But many people struggle with the endurance that it takes to get to that place. And so in the interim, if you're sitting here watching this, tune in, subscribe to my channel here, because I will tell you how to have healthy relationships with one another. And the number one thing that you can do is move toward acceptance. So ask yourself, how can I accept what is bothering me right now? How can I shapeshift myself in order to accommodate the way that my partner is being? And sometimes that's a boundary that we might have. Sometimes it's a standard that we have for our relationship. Sometimes what that means is that we are not in the relationship anymore, though, because it's something that we're not willing to fight over. It's not something that we can work through because our partner's not willing to meet us in that. Okay, but for the other stuff, how do we accept? Someone said to me a long time ago, I remember I was at the beach with a friend with our kids. At that point, she had 2 kids. I had 2 kids. I still have 2 kids. And she said her husband doesn't like to travel to see her family. They live like 2 hours away. She loves to take the kids there to visit. And her husband just likes to be home. He works from home. He likes to hang at home. Now, for like big holidays and stuff like that, he'll travel to see her family, but otherwise he just likes to, like, they can come here. Like, we have a great house to entertain everyone, but I don't want to travel there. Like, I'll be here. I've got my kayak, like beautiful house, lived right on the marsh. Absolutely gorgeous. So she takes the kids and she travels to see her family frequently, but she brings the kids alone. And that works for their relationship because she's accepted over time that it just causes so much strife to ruffle the feathers of the relationship, to get him on the same page as her, to do what she wants him to do. And so in more situations than not, if you can accept where your partner's at and who they are and how they are, you will have more harmony and you will have more success, and you can stand the test of time in your marriage and your long-term relationship. So I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I encourage you to tune in. It Got a Good Saturday edition, where I will be sharing your stories with this community and providing my thoughts and feedback on them. My goal is to come to you on Tuesdays with regular episodes, and then on Saturdays come with listener questions and stories. I want you also to please go right now, if you're listening to this episode, and leave me a written review for this episode. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you want to hear more of. And every Saturday, I will also choose a winner to receive one of my card decks. So I created these card decks for couples. I have like 1 million card decks that I've bought from other companies, and they are games that I play with my husband. They're questions that we answer to help us like have fun topics to talk to at dinner, to go deeper, cultivate intimacy in our relationship. Many people complain that, oh, after all these years, like we don't have anything to talk about anymore. Well, lo and behold, I created a card deck just for you. It is called Relate Connect, and I have been sitting on these card decks and I want to give them to you. So if you leave me a review, specifically on YouTube, but you can do it on Spotify, you can do it on Apple Podcasts, I will send you this card deck for free for your relationship. And now I realize a lot of you might be coming to couples therapy or coaching because you are struggling to communicate in a healthy way. And so if that's the case, then you may not be able to just use the card deck. But the card deck can be utilized to create intimacy and connection in your relationship. So if you want a card deck yourself, go and leave me a review. Even if you don't want a card deck, please go and leave me a review. It will help the podcast grow. And I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. If you're new to our community, welcome. We really want our podcast to grow. So please like, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review with your feedback on how we can make your experience most catered to you. As I work with my private clients continuously, this podcast is a great way for me to help more of you. Please reach out if you have any